And here's a look at Ramsey's Pond, located at the racetrack. This is where Austin Dillon caught that gigantic, humongous, enormous fish you just saw. Welcome back to Darlington. Austin Dillon has never raced at this track. A handful of our drivers have, whether in Cup or nationwide. In fact, only 7 in this field have raced in a truck here. But the old lady has gone through some changes, including new pavement. So even the drivers who've raced here before may not have raced on this surface. What's that? You want a little taste of some of that old Darlington truck history? Let's crack open the vault and go back to the year 2002.
Nearly a decade ago, in March of 2002, the NASCAR Truck Series took to the track known as the Lady in Black.
Here we go, 147 laps, 200 miles at Darlington, the track too tough to tame, as Jimmy Howell waves the green flag.
And she proved to be a track to be respected.
Whoa, heavy contact. There is Larry Gunzelman, and the 81 truck that's involved, that is Jonathan Price.
As the drivers laid their black tire rubber on the freshly painted white walls of the Darlington Raceway, one driver stood out above the rest and managed to work his way through the caution-filled event. Ted Musgrave tore down his competition in his #1 Mopar Performance Dodge, taking the lead 5 different times and leading the race for 97 laps. Musgrave would battle back and forth with Robert Presley throughout the race. But with 12 laps remaining, Musgrave would take to the high side to pass Presley and take home the win in Darlington.
And out of turn 4, Ted Musgrave will come across by 4 trucklets and win over Robert Presley.
Well, no doubt there's been some great moments in Darlington history. One of those, a win for this guy in the Nationwide Series. But the big question for you is, how aggressive can you be here tonight with a great points lead? Do you race this to win or to survive?
We race to win. That's what we do every week, and we're not gonna change the way we do things just because we're leading the points. Now, if we get down to the end of the race and we got a truck that is going to finish 4th, well, that's what we're going to do. I'm not trying not to put ourselves in a position to take ourselves out of a good points run. So, you know, it's always in the back of your mind. You have to think about it. You have to be aware of it. But, you know, we're still here to win races and do a good job for our team. These guys work hard every week at Germain Racing. You know, Toyota Tundra and everybody at Toyota does a great job. So that's what we're to do, is win races.
Okay, this guy's got a lot of experience, but nowhere as many laps as Kenny Schrader, and he's with Adam.
Nearly 15,000 laps at this track for Kenny Schrader, and I don't know if you know this or not, but 3 of the 4 winners here have been in their 40s, so experience does mean something. How can you make all of yours pay off tonight?
Well, I mean, it's definitely a help here, but, you know, there's some other guys that have been here for maybe not that many laps, and the kids we got in the truck series right now, there's a lot of them in good trucks, and they're doing a heck of a job. You know, Austin Dillon's watched as many laps here as I've run, if not more. So, you know, it's not going to hurt us none, but we'll just have to see what happens.
4 consecutive top 10s for Schrader in the 2 truck. He'd love to get a win tonight, Krista.
All right, thanks, Adam. 15,000 laps, that's impressive. Well, she bites, she spits, she tears grown men apart. Now, I know the guys upstairs are intrigued after hearing that. The NASCAR institution is Darlington, so let's go to our professors, Rick Allen, Phil Parsons, and Michael Waltrip. And remember, boys, she bites.
Well, sometimes hard. Adam just used the word experience. We just saw from Todd and heard from Todd and Ken Schrader. How big is experience for tonight's race?
I don't think there's any substitute for experience. There's no secret is the fact that Ted Musgrave won here. Bobby Hamilton won twice, and Casey Kane, who was a Cup regular at the time, even though he's a little bit younger, won. But it takes experience at this racetrack. Timothy Peters, I know he's fast. He did the tire test. He has a fast track. He's on the pole, but he hasn't run out there with 35 other trucks around him, Michael. And I'm telling you, it's, you know, this racetrack looks narrow because it is narrow. This racetrack's only about 27 feet wide, and these trucks are about 8 feet wide.
Yeah, and
Krista, you're right. She's a biter. She'll get you. And what I love, though, is the experience that Austin Dillon has, Rick. He's never raced here, but like Schrader said, he's watched it his whole life. And I think a kid like him in a fast truck, knowing what to expect by watching all these races, but yet not having the experience of some of the bad times these guys have had here, that might be a key to Austin Dillon winning this race tonight. What he doesn't know might not hurt him tonight.
Maybe he won't get bit as bad as the other drivers tonight, Krista.
Okay, yep, she bites and she spits. Did I mention that? She is a rough one indeed. Well, whether you're a car guy or girl or not, chances are you remember your very first set of wheels. But what happens if you're a guy or girl who makes a living driving one? What did you drive? Well, what was your very first car? That was the question we asked. It's this week's Bumper to Bumper.
My first car was a 1977 Chevrolet pickup truck.
My very first truck that I had legally when I got my driver's license, I got it a year before my driver's license, was a 55 Ford pickup truck, and I still have that truck, so that's pretty cool.
Dodge Charger SRT8, and I was 16 when I got it, and it was really fast. They have like 435 horsepower, and I didn't keep it very long because I realized about 6 months later that a 16-year-old race car driver probably shouldn't have that fast of a car on the road, so I traded it in on a Tahoe pretty quick.
1991 GT Mustang 5.0.
My first car was obtained when I was like 5 years old. My dad bought my mom a 1975 Trans Am, and somehow it got a 78 front clip on it, which is awesome. I call it the cat eyes.
My first car, I had to share a Nissan pickup truck stick shift. That was my wheels to get back and forth to school.
My first car was a 72 four-door hardtop Chevelle. Now what makes that significant, it's a hardtop. It has no post between the doors, so it was a great party car. It had rusted out holes and the springs were all wore out, so it sat real low, and we'd all just pile in that thing and go to the movies or do whatever.
So what were our first cars? Ray had a 73 Caprice Classic. He paid $116 for it and then put in a $400 stereo. Rick actually paid $9 more for his 66 Mustang. Phil turned his 73 Plymouth Satellite into a taxi cab. It had no stereo. Michael had a 72 Ford Gran Torino, a four-door. Adam had the big car, a 78 Pontiac Bonneville. And I had the Vet. Well, it was a Chevette. Very cool indeed. Hey, David Starr is one of the 7 who has raced a truck here before. In fact, he's finished top 10 in each of his 3 Truck Series starts at Darlington, but he's also started in the top 10 in each of those outings. He won't do that tonight. All these fans know this is one of the toughest tracks. They are so excited to have the toughest series back. More of the setup next. Artists working smoothest riding off-road vehicles, now at your local dealer. And brought to you in part by Damp Rid, because the key to mold control is moisture control. Control them both with Damp Rid. Who was rocking and rolling in Music City last week? Time to give a thumbs up to some of our drivers. Ron Hornaday had won at Nashville before, but not this time. But a top 10 was a welcome change after finishing 29th the week before. Ryan Eichler made his 5th start of the year and scored his 4th top 10. Very impressive. Mike Skinner is trying to inch his way back up in the points. In 11th is good. It kept him 8th in the standings. And Donnie Leah loves Nashville. At least he does after turning in a season-best 12th place finish. Darlington Raceway has been around for over a half a century. If it's happened in NASCAR, this place has seen it. Welcome back to the setup presented by Polaris. We're getting the track ready. You hear the jet dryers coming up behind me, so we will soon be racing. You know, as tough as this track is, it's even tougher if you've never been here before. That's the case for several of our drivers, including rookie Brett Butler. So how did a high school wrestler from Georgia end up in racing? His story is beyond the stripe.
When I was about 15 years old, one of our friends, he raced go-karts, and he's saying, you know, you need to get to the track and come look at us. I race these go-karts. So we went and we looked, and next week we ended up buying 2 go-karts, a trailer, and did that for a few years and just moved our way up Me and my brother are pretty competitive. First race ever in the go-karts. I didn't really care about the other 15, 20 other karts there. I just really wanted to beat Ken. So my first race, I ended up wrecking him and spun him out, and I beat him, but my dad wasn't too happy with that.